Okay, now I've got the hot wire bow all set up here. This is what it looks like. It's nothing more than, let me step in the camera here. This is nothing more than a framework with a wire that runs through it, and there's electrical clips on both ends that run to a power supply. And I'll click this on, and it'll heat up the wire and cut through this foam like a hot knife through butter. So let's go ahead and fire this up. Okay, there we go. And we're just going to go ahead and run this across our template here. And let me do this before we get into this. Let me zoom this in a little bit. And let's go zoom. I got to bring this camera down a bit. Okay. Hang on a minute. Well, we'll make a few little changes here. Yeah, bring that down. Okay. Oh, there we go. There we go. Now we're in camera. There. So I got this heated up, and we'll go ahead and make this cut with this hot wire, and we'll do a couple passes here, see how this turns out. I sanded these before we get into this. These templates here on both sides. These I've sanded those down nice and smooth so that when I run this hot wire across it, we'll get a nice cut here. So we'll go ahead and make a couple of cuts here and see what this looks like. Oh, get lined up here. Perfect. Okay, so there's our first cut. I'm going to get rid of the debris off of here. And it's got a nice curvature in there. I'll get rid of all the junk. Let me set this bow down for a minute. And we'll take the whole thing and give it a turn. Let's just go a little bit here, and we're going to make another pass. And this will cut off a little more. Just about there. There we go. There. There's the second cut. Again, a cut high on this side and high on this other side. So we'll continue around through the rest of it, and then we'll have a pretty good dome setup. I'll go ahead and make the rest of the cuts here, and then I'll sand it out and then show you what it looks like once I get it completed. Now with all the sanding done on the center disc, you can see it smoothed out really nice. I'm going to bring this up close enough that you can see it. There, you can see a nice dome shape across the face of this. And this dome could be increased. I don't think I'm going to have to. It looks about right compared to an actual badge. And this will all be glassed, again, separate pieces, of course. And if I need more dome, I'll putty this out and sand it. It's going to get sanded again and again before the glassing gets done. So that'll be the next step. I'm finally got all the pieces cut, and they're all sanded. Now I'm going to go in and start glassing, fiberglassing everything. Well, I'll show you how to do this, the fiberglassing, in one of the pieces again, and show you how simple it is. I use an aircraft grade epoxy, and it's the same process I built the Velomobile and various other projects like my kayak and motorcycle trailer that are on the blog. And it's a very, very simple process to do, and I've been wanting to do this for some time to show you exactly what it takes to do the fiberglassing. And so that'll be the next step. And we'll get into fiberglassing, one of the simpler parts, and show you exactly what it takes to lay it all out and start there. So we'll continue on from there. But this centerpiece I thought was going to be pretty tough. It's not bad at all. The big thing was setting up the jig to cut this to get the shape to start with, and then to sand it down and get it to the shape I want. So anyway, next we'll go on with the fiberglassing, and we'll go from there. Before we get into the fiberglassing of this sign, one thing that I've got to show you first is a way that we're going to be able to hang this sign up. Since you can't put a nail or a screw into a piece of foam and expect it to stay in the foam, it's just not solid enough, we have to insert little wooden blocks into the back of the sign, and we'll fiberglass that in so they're solid and it'll stay put. What I did was I took the back of the sign, this is the base piece here, and I'm going to turn this around, and I cut out little inserts here. I marked it out with little blocks of wood. Let me jump forward here a little bit. There we go. And what I did was took this little block of wood and traced it on here and on the other end. Let me scoot over. There you go. On the other end. And I cut a block of wood that will insert into this cavity all the way in. We get it shoved in, and then we'll glass over the top of this, and this will make a nice solid mount for putting in screws or eyelets for the wire that we're going to need in order to hang the sign up. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and mix up some resin and make a putty using a microballoons, and it's like a powder. So let me go ahead and shift my camera here, and I'll show you how what the resin looks like and how I set up to do the fiberglassing and get these blocks mounted in. So now I've got the camera moved around here so I can take a look and show you what I'm going to do. What we're going to do is mix up some microballoon resin. Best way I can describe it, it's a fiberglass resin and microballoon mixture. Microballoons are nothing more than, it looks like talcum powder, but it's actually a microspheric hollow glass beads or balls. And it makes a very light mixture. It's used in composite construction, experimental aircraft construction. And I've used it a lot with all the projects I work in, and so that's what we're going to mix up today. First thing we got to do, well, first off, I change clothes. You want to go put on something that's that's old and you're not afraid to get messed up. Because if you don't, you get this resin on you, and whatever if they were good clothes before you started, they're going to be old clothes when you get done. So we'll put some gloves on. And this will keep, because the resin is quite sticky, and it's a lot easier to work if you don't have it all over your hands. There. So we'll put some gloves on. The resin we're going to use is from the West system. It's this is a 105 epoxy resin, and then 206 slow hardener. I like the slow hardener. It gives me a lot of time to work with it. Very easy to work with. What's in these cans is, of course, the resin, and the pumps are metered exactly to what you need. And so you don't have to weigh anything, you don't have to measure anything. We're going to just take it and put a squirt in there, one of the hardener and one of the epoxy resin. And it just it looks like a liquid. And then take a wooden stick, and we're going to stir that up good. And this will work for a good half hour before it'll really harden up or stiffen up on you. So it gives you a lot of time to work with it. So we'll mix this up real good. And then in the box on the floor here, you don't see it in the camera, I've got the microballoons. Let me get a scoop of it here. And it looks on camera, it's going to look like ice cream. There we go. So we got a scoop of this. And we're going to take this and just dump in a scoop. I take a little ice cream scoop, it works out pretty well. And we stir this up. And you need a couple scoops here. The first scoop, you get it stirred in with the resin. You got to watch the powder though. You don't want to breathe this stuff. There we go. And the first resin looks like runny frosting when you get the first one in. So then we're going to get another scoop in here. And that'll thicken it up to where we want it and get it like a putty. That should do it. I think we got enough in there. And we'll stir this up. Got to mix it all up good. This is what we're going to use to mount these blocks, and we're going to touch up some spots on this backing plate. Here we go. Now we got the putty. I'm going to just take a scoop. There we go. Now it's nice and solid. You can see it. That just hangs right off of there. So anyway, let me move my camera around again, and we'll get a close-up view of one of these blocks being inserted, and it'll make more sense. So now we got a much closer view of one of the cavities here. What I did, I want to explain again what I did here to get this hole in this foam. I took a Dremel tool with a cone-shaped grinder. And I marked out a perimeter. I took the block on there, took a Sharpie and marked it out. And then went in with this grinder and ground it all out. And it took me 2 minutes tops and grind it out. So anyway, what we're going to do is take this, took all the excess out of there anyway too with the excess foam. So anyway, we're going to take this putty. I'll give you a close-up look at this too, what this looks like. It looks like toothpaste here now, only it's real stiff. And again, it'll be a while before this is even going to set up. And we're going to butter this guy. Let's put some, ooh, we got a lot on there. We might be able to just put it right in the hole there, I think. There we go. Let's just do that. And we're going to have excess coming out when we squish this in, but that's all right. We're going to take care of that. And just spread it in there nice. This block is going to get fiberglassed over top, so that'll seal it all in. I'll set that aside. And then we'll go, let me make sure I can see it. Okay. Then we're just going to take this block and shove it in here and give it a good push. And some of this is going to squish out, I can tell you that right now. Give it a good squish in there. Ooh, that's pretty good. And the back side, this is the back side of our sign, so we want to get it in as far as we can. This is pretty flush. And there we go. That's it. And once that hardens up, you're not going to get that block out. And we're gonna glass over top of this anyway. So there you go. And then we'll just take a stick here. We're going to take some of this excess off of here. Go all the way around. This will be a mounting spot for a little eyelet or one of them little bars for hanging pictures. Looks like a sawtooth kind of a little plate that gets screwed into this guy. Otherwise, you try to put it in the foam, it just will not hold. I think we're going to give this block another shove here, though. I don't think we're down far enough. Give it a good push. There we go. I think we got it. That looks pretty good. And that epoxy will set up, and that block will not come out. And so there it is, nice and clean. So all I got to do is do the other one, and then we'll get that mounted up, and we'll go to the next step. We're going to touch up a few spots on this sign where I got a couple little divots when I did the cutting with the hot knife. And then we'll get into the fiberglassing and go from there. So now we got the part here all puttied out the way I want, filled any voids that were in it. And the putty's not cured yet, and that's no problem. I can go ahead and fiberglass it now. What I did was I mixed up, I've got another batch of fiberglass resin here. I put into a plastic cup. And we stir this up good so we get a nice mixture. This is just straight resin. It's just 2 pumps out of each can that I showed you, the resin and the hardener. And what we're going to do is start laying some fiberglass down, and it's real simple to do, at least this portion of it. We're going to, each section, we're going to start with the base here. We're going to fiberglass it. And the glassing of the surface here is a little bit different technique, the top surface, because it's a bigger area. But on these edges here, we have to use just a regular small little disposable paintbrush. And what I'm going to do is just take some fiberglass resin and get my brush wet here, and we're just going to coat this, make it a little bit wet. Not a whole lot on there. There we go. Then we just take a piece of cloth and lay it down. And we're going to I'm not going to come all the way to the bottom because we got the sign upside down here right now. We just tap this in. This is called stippling, what I'm doing here. I'm just taking the tips of the brush and pushing it into that resin. And we'll bring it right up over the top. I need a little more here. And this part of the fiberglassing I find the most relaxing. So we're going to lay a couple layers. These are 3-inch squares that I'm laying down here. You'll see that. When it goes into, you can see it turn white to go transparent, then you know you've got enough resin on it. And we'll wrap this around. And we'll go a few inches here and show you what this looks like. This will really stiffen up the foam once it's cured overnight. But this batch of resin I've got in my hands here, like I said, it'll run a good half hour before it starts getting too stiff to work with. And again, here you probably noticed in my video that I'm shooting here that I don't have to wear a face mask. I thought when I learned composite construction, you'd be in a hazmat suit, really. And but it's very, if you were in the same room I'm in here right now and had your back to me, you wouldn't even know I was fiberglassing. That's what's so nice about this type of resin compared to most resins. It's real easy to work with. And like I said, I'm wearing old clothes and latex gloves. That's it. And as long as I'm careful enough to not get it on my skin, you can do this in pretty much a lot of comfort, really. So we'll come around here. And just take the brush. I'm going to pick this up a little bit. Like I said, the reason why I didn't come all the way down and wrap it around the bottom, we're going to do top layer. This is the bottom layer. We're going to fiberglass the whole thing. This I find the most relaxing, most fun to do as far as fiberglassing goes. To me, it's pretty relaxing. So we'll put a couple more pieces on here. Again, you can see it's white. And once it gets wet with the resin, it goes transparent. So it's pretty easy to know whether or not you've missed a spot. And we'll put one more on there. I'm overlapping this so that you want to get this foam completely covered, because you take spray paint and spray it on foam, and it'll just eat that foam right up. And so you don't want to do that. Anyway, that's it. That's all it is. That's all it takes to do fiberglassing. The only difference in doing the top surface here, you can see in my video here, is that let me see if I can back this camera out so I do a wider angle here. Zoom out. There we go. That's a little better. If you do a big surface like this, you would take a squeegee. You lay down the cloth and pour the resin right on it, and then you would take this squeegee and squeegee this out, starting in the middle and spreading it out. And you'd get it all flattened out. This has got a little bit in here, more than I need, but when you're going into tight corners like this, the squeegee method just doesn't work. You have to use a brush in order to work it around corners and stuff. And it's the cloth I'm using is what's called E-glass. And these are 3-inch squares. When I want to get into a tight corner, I'll go with much smaller pieces so I can wrap it around nicely and get it to work into the nice tight spots. But anyway, that's about it for fiberglassing. I'll have to continue on with the rest of the sign and the other parts that are for the sign here. Once I get them all glassed, then we'll go into the next step of filling the weave. You don't want to leave the weave of the cloth. And this is a very light weave, what's in this cloth here. This is only a 3-ounce cloth, and I've had 8-ounce cloth, which is like, the best way I can describe it is like burlap. And so that takes a lot more, and that's if you're going to need a lot of strength. And in this sign, we don't need a terrible amount of strength. So anyway, once we get it all the parts fiberglass, then we'll go ahead and get into filling the weave, and then all the sanding again, prepping it for paint. So there you go.